Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am sitting here in my bedroom, or at least what is left of it. Can you hear me? Um, Getting ready to, pack up the last of our stuff. And I did not forget about you guys. So please, thank you so much for those of you who have been patient enough to really stick with the channel, review all 400 and something videos that I have up and all the shorts that I've created while you waited for me to get back on this journey of relationship development and learning. So tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of things before I get into my whole uh shopping and all that other stuff. And the first thing we're going to be talking about is the vetting process of um everything okay? Um, Tonight we're going to be talking about how men can vet women. And I think that this is one of the things that I thought about talking about earlier on and forgot, and then had to remember what it is I wanted to say because there's so much to be said on this topic that I feel like if I forget something, it's going to be it's gonna I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I needed to say this. But I'm gonna divide this up into parts because there is a lot of things that men don't know about dating in the modern dating arena. And I like the idea of anecdotal lesson teaching. Oh my gosh, is there something in my teeth? Hang on a second. So I like telling a story because I feel like the story really encompasses a lot of different aspects of conversation in a way that you can relate to. It's entertaining. So let's just get into it. Vetting women via how do I say this politely? So there are two ways that men need to start vetting. Men of a certain age need to start vetting women of a certain age, caliber, and social status, because it has always been brought to my attention, and I have to thread very lightly with this conversation because I don't want to slut shame anybody. But I feel like this is something that is super important in the dating arena because when I talk to women, and this is the story, right? When I talk to women about their body count or how many men they have been with, and what are their safe sex practices, I get a lot of very weird responses. In my opinion, they're weird, and here's why. I feel like if you're having a lot of encounters with a lot of different people, using the proper safety measures is just half of the issue. Another part of the issue, and I don't know what the statistics are that are, the recent statistics are when it comes to STDs, HIV, and AIDS, but as it pertains to your health, I feel like this is something that we, as people, adults, need to make sure that we speak a little bit more openly about. And I have been unpleasantly surprised as to how many women don't practice getting the pathology report from men. Darn it. Um, Yeah, and so that is just like one side, the social responsibility of women is not just women's responsibility to be sexually responsible, it's also the man's responsibility to be sexually responsible because um you know, people women tend to be disconnected from their bodies and themselves in a certain way that is very unhealthy, or maybe easy for them to disconnect or appear in a light that feeds into their understanding of what they think is important to them. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are struggling with femininity, and struggling with femininity usually involves women having an issue with having the ability to acknowledge that women have to do certain things for their health and well-being. And if you accept that men and women are not the same when it comes to this thing, then you accept that there are certain female responsibilities, if you may, when it comes to your sexual reproductive health. And sexual reproductive health is not always about using contraceptives and making sure that your body is clean. It also means that you're free of diseases or taking measures to not get them. What do I mean by this? A simple practice of getting a pathology report. I have only been, and men have to know this, this might be eye-opening for men, but like way back when, way back, I can only remember on one hand the amount of times a man asked me, once actually, a man asked me to get a pathology report, which is basically like a blood test that checks for certain STDs and HIV and AIDS. And I wasn't the least bit offended because 5 years prior to that, or a little while prior to that, I was told by an aunt who I later found out was dying of AIDS. And this is not this is not a sexy topic, y'all. I'm so sorry. This is one for the books that has to do with, please make sure that you get a nice stiff drink when you watch this video. She was dying of AIDS. I didn't know. She was always sickly. She had a lot of allergies, etc., etc. She had only had sex once. And she always beat it into my head from the minute I hit puberty. This was the practice that I had to start practicing. And I was amazed, flabbergasted. I like using that word, but I was shocked at the amount of men that changed their minds about trying to get with me because they did not know their steps. And when I talk to my friends who are in these streets and who are very, very much active, and I tell them how I used to run, because I'm very meticulous about this, they were shocked. Like a lot of them who were very, very, very active were like, I could not imagine myself having the gall or guts to ask a man such a question to go get their pathology report. So that's already telling you the mindset as to which people are coming into the situation with. They put their whole 100% trust in contraceptive, which, you kind of sort of have to put your trust in it if you're going to use it. And that's as far as they go. They don't even want to know maybe. And so I ask women, like, why is it you're not asking this question? Why are you not protecting your health? Are you not important enough to demand such a, to me, standard thing? And they're just like, well, I don't want to offend him, and it seems like a lot. And I'm like, do you realize what is at stake? So, and a lot of them are like, some of them are like, I might already have something and I just don't want to know. This is how disconnected we are from ourselves and our bodies. And I think that once you start to, as a man, operate in this way, you get to have a better understanding as to what the body count is and how sexually responsible this person is. And that, I think, for me, was the bread and butter of the process. Like the results are important, very, very much so. But the icing on the cake is people's response and willingness to get these reports done. And I find that maybe I might be wrong. Like I haven't actually asked any female, I'm not a man. I haven't been in a position of a man to say like, I want you to get this done. But the women that I know who I asked, would you do this? Were like, no, I would have to go get my results myself first, and then do the other one lately, afterwards. And so to me, it just says that this kind of mentality is a a foundation for irresponsibility when it comes to one's sexual reproductive health. And I think that we need to start to change the conversation and be a little bit more responsible with how we are in these streets because there is a lot to lose. And it's part of the issue with male female relations when it comes to how we view sex and view our bodies and view intimacy. Um, the carousel is not a safe place to be. And a lot of women don't seem to understand that enough that they make this a part of their SOP, standard operating procedure. And so I just want to talk to the men and I guess the women too. I think the women should already know this, but I I'm not getting the impression that they're really down with that. But men, you gotta make sure that you're responsible with women like this at all times and make sure that you are asking for this report. It might mean it might be the difference between getting and not getting them, but also what you don't get, you are 100% sure you'll be safe staying away from that. If that person is a little bit uncomfortable with getting a report done, then you already know where they stand. They have had some questionable experiences that they have not themselves come to terms with, and that says a lot about where they're at mentally. And you would be surprised at the kind of women, I used to think that it was only women of a certain social economic class and stature, but it's all kinds of women that feel and act and think this way. They're super irresponsible. And I don't know what it is outside of just being completely disconnected from femininity and being sexually responsible that has us all over the place, or needing therapy. I am a strong, advocate of therapy, and this is one of the reasons why. Is because we are so disconnected. The cognitive dissonance is real, and I hope that you guys can start to have open conversation and dialogue is about the other unsexy part of getting sexy. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I kind of feel like I rambled on a little bit. Please leave your comments, questions, comments, concerns down below. And of course, please always remember to stay safe and stay free.